Alright, welcome back to the channel. Or maybe not welcome back, maybe just welcome to the channel. Anyway, today I'm going to be going over some Monster Hunter World stuff. Not a lot of people are playing this game still, but I've been seeing a lot of newcomers on the Reddit page, so I figured I would just start streaming it, maybe give some general advice. I am currently in low rank, just doing the Odogaron quest, if that's how you say that. Odogaron. So first and foremost, let's go over some settings. I know a lot of new players don't even touch these. I actually saw a comment the other day. Somebody didn't even know that they could make their character visible through monsters. So you can go here to game settings, and right here, player silhouette display. If you set it to distinct, you'll have like a very distinct outline of your character through the monster. So especially for stuff like Charge Blade, things that are very combo dependent, super crucial, so that you can see what your character is actually doing. I usually don't touch pretty much any of this other stuff here. Damage indicators on, big number, feel good. I'm always subtitles on. I like to read. Helps the ADHD stay focused. Let's see here. See if there are any other control settings. So radial menu settings, I always hit type 2. Basically what that'll do is when you have your radial menu up, you have to right click the stick to actually do the thing. So what that does, in as far as like in hunts, it actually makes it really easy to get ready to use an item, or only use an item when you are ready to do it. I think I just got chat banned for doing that. Yeah, let's hop back into it here. Let's see, in options. Alright, but yeah, type 2. And then that'll also stop you from accidentally using an item that you didn't mean to. Dash settings, I have left stick and right bumper. I have a Xbox One Elite controller, so I use the paddles on the back as one of them is right bumper. Auto sheath, I actually normally have turned off for this new playthrough. I forgot to turn it on, or on manual. So that will stop your character from automatically just putting your weapon away when you're standing for more than like a couple seconds. I don't know why it just bothers me if it does that. Like, if I have my weapon out, I want my weapon to stay out, especially if you're using something like, like longsword or sword and shield, where you can do a counter from standing, or like a dodge. It kind of helps set up those really good counter situations. And then I think the rest of these are all normal. Camera, normally I like it on fast. Very fast to me is a little jarring. Sometimes I'll use it if I'm using like Lance, if I have to turn around super quickly to keep an eye on the monster, but generally fast is good enough. I have not had a lot of experience playing on keyboard and mouse, so I don't know if these are going to be any different. I would just play around with them and see, what your preference is. Camera style, I always put on target camera. You can do the focus where you hit like left stick and it'll focus on the monster, but if the monster's in your field of view, it will constantly lock your camera to the monster, which I am not a fan of. I like the free control. So what I'll do, you put it on target camera, and then usually you would hit your left bumper, and that will snap the camera to wherever the monster is. And then it also helps if you put it on large monsters only, so you can't accidentally target like an Aptonoth or something stupid like that. I think these are all default. And then camera distance I always set to far as opposed to default or close. I like to see what I'm doing basically at all times. Display settings are really up to you. I usually keep VSync off and frame rate no limit. And then, I mean, it really depends on you. What I do recommend turning off for sure is motion blur. Motion blur actually kind of makes me a little motion sick sometimes. The rest of this stuff is pretty much personal preference. I mean, if there's a demand for, graphic settings, then maybe I'll make a video about it later. But for now, VSync off, frame rate no limit, brightness is slightly below default. I like the dark tones. And then audio, I have pretty much, I don't think I've touched any of this. It's not really super important. But yeah, and then from there, you can customize your radial menu. This is super, super important for, for your hunts. Having, specific things set to specific buttons, especially if you want to create the muscle memory, but also you want your items available when they're important instead of sitting there flipping through your the menu on the bottom with your D-pad or whatever the PC control for that is. So I'm just going to go through and swap some of my stuff out that I just generally want to be available. This changes over time too. There is a point where I'll have so many items on here that I want on this first menu that I will probably get rid of antidote, or potion or something like that. But for now, since we're pretty early in the game, the biggest ones are really just Mega Potion, your equipment, your mantles, Whetstone. I'm gonna throw a Nullberry on here, and then probably Flash Pod. The Flash Pod, you could do Dung Pod. Honestly, you could really do anything here. Let's see if there's something better for potion. I usually have the crafting menu set to something else, another menu. So I mean, yeah, we'll throw a Sterajarchy on there. That's pretty good to keep handy, especially in the Odogaron fight. Ammo's and coatings, I don't really use bow or bowgun that often, on occasion, but not super often. Maybe we're farming later on in the game. Communication menu, I like to, kind of play with the communications a little bit, just because, you get to interact with other players, which is, really fun. Throw on some of these, poses and things like that. Do, powerful pose. Do the cute pose. The weapon pose. Weapon poses are my favorite. You kill a big-ass monster. Do the weapon pose in front of it. Kind of stun on them a little bit. Throw stuff on there I'll bomb it. These are generally just communications with the other players. There's also a way that you can actually just change these. We'll hit this one as not registered, and then I'm pretty sure, I forget how to do it though. You can change it in the settings. I'll go through that in a second. You know, put some of these guys on here. Always do the second Fleet Master. That's like my favorite sticker. I'm also a big bald dude with a beard, so I have the sympathy for the character, you know. And then you have Amazon coatings. You can also rename these to literally anything you want, and then just put whatever wherever. So eventually, like once we get later down the road, we have a lot more materials and a lot more things we can craft, like mega barrel bombs and such. I would probably put these as like a crafting menu. You can also do the headquarters, but I really don't use this stuff in the headquarters. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now let's see if we can change. Where would that be? Shoutouts. Oh, okay. So I think it's yeah. So it's the shoutouts that. I think we had 15 not registered. So let's edit this, and we will change it to. I like to throw one on that says "Let it sleep." Jeez, I can't type today. Let it go to sleep. Reason for that is that, you know, when you're fighting a monster, the monster can go to sleep once it gets, you know, towards the end of its life. And then when it goes to sleep, your next weapon attack or whatever the next damage instance is to it does like double damage, I think. So especially good for like greatsword users. Also really good for using you know, barrel bombs and things like that. Or generally, if you just want to capture it, having it be already asleep makes it so much easier. I will usually just do 2 tranq bombs and then set the trap, because that avoids waking the monster up before, you know, before you want it to wake up. So let's jump into a hunt here. I could do the Progaron quest right now. Let's see what kind of upgrades we got going on. I've been playing this playthrough for just a couple. I think I've only been here for like 5 or 6 hours total over the last couple days. And then decided to just, you know, run the video series about it, because I'm seeing, you know, a decent upsurge in people who are kind of playing this game, and that makes me happy, because this is the first Monster Hunter game that I've ever played. It also happens to be my favorite. It's very, very large, very complete game. So I was playing a little bit of, you know, Sword and Shield, a little bit of Bug Stick, and then a little bit of Lance as well. They're pretty much the 3 like favorite weapons. The very first playthrough I did with Insectglaive, and that was before I even knew like anything about this game. I just kind of stumbled through it with, you know, Defender gear, and it just kind of was basically the damage I was outputting carried me to Iceborne. It was kind of terrible. So that's a good PSA. Don't ever use Defender gear unless you are a seasoned veteran and understand that, you know, it's basically a cheat code for low and high rank. Because like for all the new players, like these things are, you get upgrades with 1 material that you are guaranteed to get through the story, basically. And they do so much more damage than anything else in the, you know, that you have access to. Like, let's take for example, the Defender War Hatchet here. This is the highest upgrade I can have of it, is 238 attack. We call that raw attack for the unanointed. Basically that just means non-elemental damage, where in the in this category here, the highest one that I have access to right now is 182. So that's a significant increase in damage. And then this one also involves like farming materials, which, you know, is honestly, the grind game is the best part of the game for me. So, but yeah, it just kind of avoids the actually playing the game part of it. You hunt like 15 monsters and then you're in master rank. So that's kind of no fun. I don't like to power through it like that. Different things are, different weapons are good at doing different things. Elemental damage is cool. So like, you have water damage basically here. So the numbers that you see as far as like water damage or like elemental damage or raw damage up here, they are bloated numbers. So every time you attack, there's basically a math equation that happens. So it takes a base damage value of whatever the base damage value for that tier weapon that you have, and then it applies a weapon damage multiplier to it. So that's why you'll see like Hunter Knife 1 does 112 damage, but Iron Lance 1 does 184 damage, and the Buster Sword 1 does 384 damage. The reason for that is just because there's a damage multiplier. Usually a good rule of thumb is the slower a weapon hits, the more actual damage it's going to do every time it hits. So that also means that the more times you can hit with it, the better your elemental damage will be. So, for example, Aqua Slasher 1, so this is the very lowest tier of the water element tree, is 120 water damage, where the Sword and Shields is 90. So you would think, 120 water damage is better than 90, so that's, the Greatsword does better elemental damage. But honestly, that's just not true, right? It's a balancing thing. That's why the number's inflated like that. So every hit, like let's say I'm doing 90 damage every hit, but if I can hit you 3 times with my sword before I can hit you once with my greatsword, then technically you're doing 270 water damage compared to the greatswords. So like it's the more times you can hit with the weapon, the better elemental damage you'll be able to do. So weapons like Sword and Shield do okay elemental damage. They're kind of middle of the road. Great Sword and honestly Hammer are not fantastic. They hit slower. Sword and Shield specifically, if you use the best combo, which is the Perfect Rush, it doesn't do fantastic elemental damage because half of the hits are with the shield, and the shield does not do elemental damage. The 2 best weapons that you can use are dual blades, because they hit a lot. So like 90 damage here, but you're hitting them very, very, very quickly. So the elemental damage scales a lot better. And then the other one is the bow. You do a lot of hits. A lot of damage instances, so that's why the raw attack is so low. Raw bow is absolutely viable, especially once you get towards like the end of the game. But I prefer elemental. It's a little bit more fun way to play. The meta choice is not always the most fun choice. And then Charge Blade is kind of like an honorable mention. Charge Blade Impact File is the meta. That is the best way to do damage. You do the Super Amped Elemental Discharge, or SAED. You know, you do that, and you just kind of spam it. You charge up your files, and then you spam SAED. With Elemental, though, it's actually really cool, because you can use Savage Axe, which does a lot of instances of hits. And if you have the Power Element file, you're just doing, you're kind of cranking out elemental damage. It's pretty good. Again, not meta, not the most efficient, but it is a lot of fun. So I'm kind of trying to decide what weapon I want to kind of play for this playthrough. I haven't played Insect Glaive in a long time. That's why I kind of, hopped on it. I might do a hunt or two with this just to kind of see where I'm at. See if there's anything to join. No, not in my area right now. Yeah, once you get like a higher rank, you actually get, there's a lot more things that you can join. So one of the monsters you can hunt here is Rathalos, and I'm not supposed to be able to hunt that yet. I did not know you could do that. So that's a cool little shortcut. If you're confident in your, ability to hunt a monster, you can take down a Rathalos and get a really good armor set earlier than you should be. That's pretty cool. Let's see about investigations. There's some pretty good investigations. Investigations, you get those when you're just kind of picking up tracks and things like that. And the reward boxes will reward you with, they have different percentages for different items. Really good if you need like a specific thing from a monster. They're really good to just farm the investigations. Before anybody asks, I do have a few mods enabled right now. I do like to play this game with mods. Specifically, I have a performance booster plugin and extender, souvenirs light pillar, so like, you'll see it. It makes things easier to see. Monster weakness, icon indicator. So that's what this guy here is. And then extra NPCs in the Astera Gathering Hub. That just makes it easier to, to get to some of the NPCs if you go to the Gathering Hub. I don't like having to, constantly run back and forth. Sometimes it's easier to just teleport in there if I have to do a bunch of things. I'm getting a little laggy there for a second. And then I also have skippable cutscenes. I've played through this game a couple times, and I know the story. I don't want to watch the story, so I just kind of, skip them sometimes. And then useful event quest descriptions is good too, because some of them are very vague. I like to know exactly what I'm getting into, like, reward-wise. Because the events 9 out of 10 times will reward you with cool items. I'm gonna catch one of those bad boys for our room. All right. Probably should have spawned in the other spawn area. Yeah, whatever. I'm already halfway here. Honestly, I'll probably keep this stream short for today. I'm an advocate of just always gather. Just gather everything. Pick up all the materials. do all the quests. You never know when you're gonna need something. That's like the worst feeling, getting to like, you know, let's say we get farther up into like higher rank, and then it's like, oh yeah, you have to go gather something that you get from a low rank, you know, mining node, or, you know, a low rank monster material, which is even worse because then you have to go actually do a full hunt. Alright. I'm gonna grab some mulberries because I think we're gonna need them for this thing. You can dodge through roars, like I just did there. It's very timing based, and I'm not very good at it. I'm not honestly surprised that happened. Alright. Let's actually grab some of these. Gotta get my materials too. I know that was a waste of a stagger, but I'm not concerned about it. Alright. Start gathering these essences. So if you feed your Kinsect, this is not going to be the master class for this weapon, but if you feed your Kinsect the rocks, you can gather 2 essences at once, which makes it easier to kind of get your full 3. So what I'm trying to do here is I just want that first mount, because when the monster is enraged, you can't wallbang it. There we go. That's the best part about the insect glaive, is that when you are actually on the monster, whenever you move it, or whenever you move, like if they're banging into a wall, you actually attack them in the process. Try to get this softened up. That looks like I did it. And he's not enraged anymore, so I can actually grab his face, spin him around, and then just throw him right into the wall again. If you soften part before you do that, you can actually do extra part damage. Ooh, that was almost bad. Oh, wow, I did not expect to have that kind of range. Definitely want to keep away from the ice plate. That stuff will absolutely destroy your stamina. Get another mount off because he's enraged. I generally don't like to do any kind of mounting when the monster's enraged. It kind of feels like a waste. Because you can always wall mount them if you need to get them down. But, you know, just waiting until they're raged is generally better practice, in my opinion. The strongest combo with this weapon is actually the ground combo. I'm bouncing around here. Alright, and he's leaving. So we are going to sharpen our weapon because we were bouncing so much on that. Different parts of the monster have different essences. And also, like, feeding the bug different things, gives you different buffs. Let's see if we can get, I think it's the head that has the red one. There we go. Alright. We actually should be able to. Gotta get this thing. CT on board. AKA walking flash bombs. That's the most fun attack right there. Just the spiral voice crack. Just that like spiral dive out of the air. This is a pretty decent amount of damage too. Also do the descending wall too. This is really cool. Unfortunately, it's not like the sword and shield or the dual blade one where you get instant tenderize, but be the bug. Yeah, this is just one of those weapons you really have to watch out for the stamina drain. That's especially why, like, you really don't. You really don't want to get that ice blade because it just tears your stamina again. We got a pretty good hit in there. For that. Pick this bad boy up. We don't have to. God damn it. Alright, so he is probably going to go to sleep. So at this point, what we're going to do, we're just going to run up on him while he's sleeping. The path to get there is kind of a pain, but we got this. If you have the, I forget exactly what it's called. It's the blue mantle that the glider mantle. That's what it's called. Yeah, it just makes you glide when you jump. But you can ride airstreams in this, especially in this place. Super good to get around if you have to go up to the very top. Usually like monsters like Iana and Kieran sleep up there. Yeah, the rest of this is just all going to be Wedge Beetle. And your feet don't even have to touch the ground. I don't think I have anything to get... Nope. I don't have anything to make track bombs or traps, which is fine. It's not the biggest deal in the world. So this is my favorite wake-up attack here for this. I think that's like the hardest single hit that you get. just walked right in front of that, so he's a little tired. So I'm just going to take this opportunity to go wall bang him. And honestly, he should be dead pretty soon. They usually only sleep when they're really low on health. And there we go. Yeah, don't forget to pick up your materials. So if you're, you know, even if you're going up against a monster that's like completely out of your league, like if you're early on, you find an Anjanath walking around, you can literally just wall bang him just to get free materials. That's a good way to, you know, farm free mats from big monsters like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I actually think this is where we're gonna end the stream for right now. But I should be streaming again probably Thursday. Alright? So, hope you guys enjoyed it, and take care.